Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to Nonfiction November. That's a big BookTube event. I'm sure you've all seen it in your subscription feeds. It was created by Olive at A Book Olive, and it's designed to celebrate nonfiction on BookTube, which is, a platform that loves its books, but mostly loves fiction. And I think it's a great idea. I've always loved Nonfiction November. I've always loved nonfiction. I have both read more nonfiction than I'm guessing anybody else on BookTube. I've also written more nonfiction than I'm guessing anybody else on BookTube. And as usual, those two things come together to make recommendations. I have lots and lots and lots of recommendations for you. So I thought we'd do another starter kit. I did a starter kit to start off Nonfiction November of just general, very inviting nonfiction picks on a variety of subjects. And one of those books was The Red Hourglass by Gordon Grice, which is a piece of nature writing that is revolting, alarming, and also spellbinding. You will not stop reading. It's all about poisonous animals, and it's really, really good. And I thought I would expand on that item in that general starter kit with a starter kit specifically about science and nature type books. Mostly on the nature side here, and a couple of these are a little bit on the obscure side. You might have to go on a hunt for them if they sound interesting to you, but they are all wonderful. They are all 5-star recommendations. So we'll start with The Moon by Whale Light by Diane Ackerman, who did quite a few little books on various nature-related subjects, science-related subjects, the senses and colors and whatnot. And this is a meditation of hers, a series of short meditations on different kinds of animals. Crocodiles, whales, most especially and most captivatingly, bats. It's a delightful little book. I'm pretty sure it's probably still in print. And if not, it's had a very healthy print run, so you should be able to find a copy. And it's if you like books that are just, science undergirded but personal meditations on kinds of animals, and you haven't somehow read Diane Ackerman, you really should. She won't let you down. The second one needs no introduction. I have mentioned it many times on this channel. It is, when it comes to meditations on nature and the natural world, a towering classic, but it never hurts to recommend towering classics more than once, just in case. I never know who's watching what video, and also the repetition itself helps you to know how serious I am, and the book is Pilgrim at Tinker Creek by Andy Dillard. Talk about a huge print run. You can certainly find a copy of this book, and it is worth all the hype that you've heard about it. It's terrific, just terrific. So I wanted to put it on this list as a starter list. Then number 3, I'm going to take a page from Olive's own book. From the Mistress of Ceremonies here has talked many times. Her channel is a wonderful place to go for nonfiction recommendations, and one of the books that she makes no secret of the fact that she loves is Helen MacDonald's book H is for Huck. I wanted to second that here and put that on this starter kit. It's about a woman who it's an account that intertwines a woman's account of her attempts to train a goshawk with her accounts of her relationship with her father, and the autobiographical sections are done really well. Of course, it's the goshawk sections that concern me for this starter kit, and the goshawk sections are a direct homage to a little book by T.H. White, the author of The Once and Future King, who also wrote a book about having his own personal loneliness alleviated by trying to train this notoriously proud and intelligent kind of bird. And it's tremendously effective. It doesn't need any plaudits from me. It's been plotted all the way to the moon and back. But it's a tremendously effective book. It belongs on a starter kit. Then number 4, I believe, is also a page from Olive's book, but also lots of other people's books as well, including mine. And that's Cy Montgomery's book, The Soul of an Octopus, which is all about octopuses, and it's all about some of the things that you would predict. Writings about octopuses predictably tend to talk about their intelligence, their adaptability, the fact that they are a truly alien kind of sentient being. Their evolutionary pathway bears almost nothing in common with humans, that we diverged in primordial slime, and yet they have grown, advanced in their own way, a totally different kind of brain, totally different kind of nervous system, totally different kind of senses. And yet we have seen them, we have put them in laboratories and started to learn their cognition. And this book is is about all those predictable things, but it's also like H is for Huck. It has lots of very effective personal elements in it as well, and they're mixed in perfectly. So in terms of modern classics of nature writing, The Soul of an Octopus and H is for Huck would definitely be on the list. Then number 5 is a book that I have recommended on this channel a couple of times, but in the distant past, thousands of videos ago. So I wanted to bring it up again. It's by Joe Hutto, and it's called Illumination in the Flatwoods. And it's about a man who, he's not a scientist, and this is the beginning, and through just a weird sequence of circumstances, comes to know wild turkeys in the woods. He comes to know a group of wild turkeys. And it shatters every illusion that he had, every idea, every presupposition that he had about turkeys in the wild, about wild birds in the wild. And it will shatter all of yours as well. The idea that these ground fowl, that turkeys are, largely stupid, that they're largely unnuanced, that they are basically dumb, just dumb, wild chickens or whatnot. Anybody who's ever kept chickens, anybody who's ever spent time with chickens, will know that is not true. That's absolutely not true. They're every bit as complex socially and intellectually and mentally and emotionally as humans are. Most animals are. It's just humans can say it and other animals can't. But if you've never spent time with chickens, you've certainly never spent time with a turkey. Most people I know have eaten tons of turkeys, but have never met one. If you're in that position where you've never spent time with game hens of any kind, it will blow you away. This book will blow you away. The things that Hutto learns about these birds, the way he discovers how complex their world is, will blow you away. It's exactly what we want nature books like this to do. We want them to be voyages of discovery among the known, among the familiar. And this is, I don't know if it's still in print. I hope that it is, but it is a classic, well worth your time. Then number 6 is going to be a bit of a struggle. I don't think number 6 is in print. I don't think it's been in print for a long time, but it is a delight. If it strikes you as the kind of book you would like, it'd be worth a little effort on your part to hunt it down. Unless it is in print, that would be overjoyed. I'd be overjoyed to learn that. It's called Such Agreeable Friends, and it's by Grace Marmor Spruch, Spruch. Again, I will list all these books down below. And it's about a woman and her husband who opened their New York apartment to squirrels. At first, they are just leaving nuts out on the fire escape and watching the squirrels out in all weathers, the summer and especially in the depths of winter and whatnot. But eventually, they start opening the window and leaving it open, and leaving the nuts just inside the window, and then maybe further inside the window just to see what the squirrels will do. And of course, the squirrels come inside, and they start to become very familiar with the author and her husband. They start to become not only very familiar, but often very demanding. It turns out that when a squirrel feels comfortable around you, even though you are 50,000 times its size, when a squirrel feels comfortable around you, it will not only climb your leg and cling to your butt, but when they want to get your attention, they punch you. With their tiny little fists, they punch you to get your attention. It's an extremely good and memorable book. And again, it does what so many of the books on this list do, which is it takes something that's ubiquitously familiar, we've all seen squirrels, and reveals to us what we should know just instinctively, which is that there's a world of complexity behind what we see. A world of complexity. Squirrels who are playful, squirrels who are moody, squirrels who are resentful, squirrels who are arrogant. The whole spectrum. Easily observable, no anthropomorphizing. These are people who are just inviting an alien species into their apartment. That's all. And then watching and appreciating. Delightful. So, I don't think I've ever shown a copy on this channel, and God knows where my copy is, but I can hope that you can find it, or maybe your library has it. Then number 7 is a classic. I had to have a couple of classics on this list. I mean, I could make a 10-book list of pure classics of this sort of nature and science books. This is one of those, but I wanted to give you a little variety, maybe stuff that you didn't see on lists like this a million times over. But some classics I just couldn't leave off. I wanted to have a couple on here. And the one I'm thinking of is Gavin Maxwell's book, Ring of Bright Water. His incredibly beautiful and moving account of getting to know an otter, a wild otter. And the book, I should warn you that its ending is tragic. It will rip your heart to pieces. But the book is just elevating. It's just beautifully done. And I'm sure that Ring of Bright Water, if it's not in print now, it's had 1 million editions. Had been Nature Specials. I think there was a movie, so you can certainly find a copy. And if you've been seeing it in used bookstores or flea markets or your library or whatever, and you wondered, is it any good? It is. It is very good. Then number 9 is something that I got in the course of reviewing. It came to me in the mail years and years and years ago, and I loved it. So I want to recommend it. Again, it is an example of someone who takes animals at a distance that we think we know and examines them up close in an unusual circumstance to learn more about what they're really like. It's called Among the Bone Eaters, and it's by Marcus Baynes-Rock, Baynes-Rock. And it's a story of hyenas. As you could probably tell from the title, hyenas eat bones. They eat everything. Ordinarily, they're studied there are plenty of nature books about hyenas, but ordinarily they're studied in the wild. And this takes place in the Ethiopian city of Harar, which has 100,000 people in it. And there's a troop of hyenas that regularly patrol the side streets and back alleys of Harar. They regularly hunt for food. They also hunt in the wild, so they aren't domesticated or semi-domesticated scavengers. But it gives the author an unparalleled opportunity to explore the nature of this society of hyenas, which may or may not be all that similar to the ones that are in the wild without any contact with humans. I didn't know what to expect of it. I thought it absolutely fascinating. And the same thing is true with number 10. The last book on our starter kit here is by Joel Berger, and it's called Extreme Conservation. And when we think of conservationism, when we think of radical climate change, we think of the tip of the spear, low-lying islands that are going to be underwater in 50 years, regardless of whether their inhabitants want it to happen or not. And also the most brutal extremes of Arctic weather. We think of those as the tip of the spear too, because all the animals that have adapted to those extreme conditions are incredibly vulnerable if those conditions change. We mentioned just recently on this channel emperor penguins, who survive the 6 months of darkness in bone-crushing temperatures, because no predator can survive those circumstances. So they have developed this as a way to protect their eggs, because they're defenseless otherwise. And also, of course, the poster child for this sort of thing is polar bears, who rely on the pack ice to hunt. If the pack ice doesn't form, then all of the whole house of evolutionary cards that they've built their existence on is gone, and happening in much faster time than evolution typically does, which is the reason why species go extinct, because evolution is a very slow accumulation of population-wide adaptations. So you can't expect it to happen quickly. You can't expect it to happen in 50 years, which means that we could be seeing either the re-amalgamation of polar bears into the general mainland brown bear population, or the elimination of the subspecies completely. And the subspecies in question in extreme conservation is not penguins and is not polar bears. It's musk oxen, who have likewise adapted not only their societies but also their physiology to the bitterly extreme conditions under which they live. This author goes to them and studies them. And I thought this book, when I first got it, I thought it was going to be mostly about what the title says, extreme conservation. But it's a large part of the book is a really enjoyable, energetic natural history of musk oxen. I thought that was the most fascinating part of the book. So I wanted to recommend it to you. It's fairly new. It'll be in your libraries, and it might even have a paperback out by now. Maybe even with a blurb from yours truly. I certainly sang the book's praises. But anyway, there you go. That is a nature starter kit to continue this string of starter kits that we're doing for a Nonfiction November. So I'm going to wrap this up for now. I will jot all the books down below so that you know what I'm talking about. And also I will link down below to any time. If I've written about any of these books, then I will link to that as well. So I'm going to wrap this up for now, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.